right off the bat, I don't want to say that Wim Hof Method doesn't help people, okay? Let's just be clear about that. But the next thing is that Wim Hof comes from a specific frequency energy, which is, or vibration, that he was traumatized by his wife taking her life because she was obviously, or from what I understood, depressed. And that traumatized Wim Hof so much that he went on a journey to figure out what could be done in order to help anyone who suffers from the same kind of depression. And while these methods do work to calm down, or I wouldn't say even calm down, I would say like to shock. You're basically shocking the biological system. And by shocking the biological system, it goes into survival mode. Wim Hof himself explains it that way. And then you can do various super powerful things, which in reality are not really necessary. Like, I mean, if Wim Hof becomes, 150 years old and looks like 40, you could say, okay, that's very useful. But my guess is that he will not live that long, because I think that shocking the biological system into things that are not very natural will actually shorten your lifespan. That's my view. I'm not sure. We will see what happens. He might become 100 and super powerful. I don't know. And but here comes the most important part, is that by shocking the system and trying to get out of a certain emotional state that way is like destroying your car. I mean, this is going to be overstretched. I'm going to use a different analogy just in a second. It's like, no, not destroying. It's like taking the air out of the tires in order to not make an accident. Kind of like that. Because what you really want to do, I mean, it's a bad analogy. I confess it was a shit analogy. But what I'm trying to say is that spiritual awakening, the realization that you're not your thoughts and not your body, is much more important and much more powerful than anything that you could ever physically do. And there is a reason for it, that it also works for people with psychoenergetic problems like depressed people, is because the actual depression doesn't come, and that's maybe, I don't know if he's ever talked about this, but I as an energy healer know this. The depression comes from karma, meaning either family karma, mostly it's family karma, or some trauma that happened in this life. And if she had problems in childhood, or any depressed person had problems in childhood, or if the family karma is propagating some psychoenergetic ailment and disharmony, then no matter what you do on the side, if the actual trauma doesn't get released, then the problem is not solved. And the only way to release it, truly release it 100%, is 100% realizing your consciousness. You're not the body, you're not the trauma, and resting in awareness or abiding in the self, like Ramana Maharshi said, until all of the old karma is cried out and released. There's literally no other way to release karma 100%. Everything else is just temporary makeup, and you're never gonna feel completely satisfied. And the reason why I say this, because looking at Wim Hof, he has been traumatized by the death of his wife, and he has attracted his wife for a specific reason. And I see in him this unresolved issue as well. Not the depression, but the trauma from the experience. And he needs to overcome that. And any depressed person needs to overcome identifying with the body, with the mind, and resting so much in awareness until it clears by its own.